and welcome Brandon Shorten. Brandon, a two-time captain at Penn State, and then an All-American linebacker there, 7 years in the NFL with the New York Football Giants and in Carolina, and is here to tell a horrific story and trying to make something positive out of it. Brandon, good morning. How are you today?
Doing well. Good morning to you, too. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate it. I talked to you last week, and I wrote my Sunday column about your story. And as I said then, I wish it was under better circumstances, but I have such appreciation for what you're trying to do. Let me tell people, in case they aren't familiar with the story, Brandon's daughter, Carly, was murdered last September in McKeesport's. 26 years old, and she was 5 months pregnant at the time. The father of the baby has been charged with the crime. Prosecutors have said they're going to seek the death penalty because they said he knew that Carly was pregnant. First of all, let's start, Brandon, what kind of person Carly was and what it was like for you when you got that phone call that every parent dreads.
Yeah, well, first, Carly was an amazing, human being. Like, whenever she walked in a room, she would light up the room. She always, did her best to try to make everyone around her better and to look after everyone. I mean, if you would hear her tell it, she could make the best macaroni and cheese in the world, and arguably it was. She just inspired the people around her that may have been struggling financially in school, to be better than what they were. And, the world lost an extremely, bright light, with her.
You got the phone call. Talk about the emotions of that night, last September.
Well, it was a wide range of emotions. The first thing is shock, and confusion, not really, understanding, what's happening. And then it's just utter devastation to realize that, I lost, the love of my life, my firstborn child, and, anger, confusion, frustration. Those are all emotions that, I still feel, now, even during this call. I can't, say that I'll ever be the same after having a loss like this. A father, is not supposed to, outlive their children, much less someone, making a conscious decision to take their life. So it's a rough road, and everyone who is dealing with the fallout from gun violence is traumatized.
You grew up in McKeesport, and that's where she was, and that's where she was killed. We talked last week. It's not an easy place to grow up in, is it?
McKeesport is it's a rough neighborhood, but they're good people, in McKeesport, and they have their challenges, like most areas, most inner city areas, who looking for financial opportunities or economic, growth, and it's just not there right now. Although, McKeesport has its challenges, what happened to Carly, could have happened to anyone. It wasn't related to a gang or drug transactions. Apparently, she's just got connected with, a bad person, the wrong guy, and that could be in any community around the country.
You talked to me last week about how, it isn't the norm to be able to get out of that sort of environment, and you did through football, and I think even more so through your education. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Well, one of the only ways that I saw to make it out of the environment, was getting a football scholarship. And, I worked hard, and I was raised by my grandmother, who, was a strict disciplinarian. And, it took a village, the coaching staffs, like all through Pee Wee and Pop Warner, middle school, all the way up to the high school. Being associated with a group of guys, my friends that are like my brothers, who were all, had similar goals. And, I just, got lucky. And, and I have, because, I made it out of that environment and, went to Penn State and was fortunate enough to play for a coach, Joe Paterno, who cared more about my development academically and as a man than they did about my development as a football player. I was able to prosper and go on and be successful. But because I, have these unique perspectives from, living in Harrison Village, housing project, McKeesport's, going to NFL, Columbia Business School, living in Dubai and in London, I have a responsibility. And, when this first happened with Carly, I just didn't know what to do, but I wanted to try to make something positive out of it, and that's what we're trying to do with these scholarships.
Now, you went into real estate investment banking, an incredible success story, and you're on the Penn State Board of Trustees, and I know you had mentioned one of the goals is trying to find affordable education, because education is the only thing that can save kids, not just in McKeesport, but everywhere, right?
Well, I think that I've lived abroad, and it's given me a very unique perspective on the world, and I can see that most of the world's problems can be solved by economics. People being able to have a job and make a living, and the economic problems can be solved through education. And at Penn State, one of the biggest challenges we have is trying to provide that affordable education. And that we're focused on doing that and serving the community and doing so. And because of that focus, and my understanding of the need of so many students out there that drop out of school because they get sick and they have health care bills, or because they had a bad grade, or they had a death in the family, someone that has dealt with the fallout from gun violence. That there's a significant need, and that forming a scholarship to support those students is the best way that I could see to honor my daughter.
We're talking to Brandon Short here on the Fan Hotline. It's presented by Nemacolin. Around every corner, Nemacolin creates real-life magic for guests. All right, tell me about the Carly Short Better Tomorrow Foundation, what you're trying to do with it, and then we're going to get into the details of Friday night. But first of all, just what you're trying to do with it, who you're trying to help, and just what the goals are here.
Yeah, well, anyone has been when someone is a victim of gun violence, it's not just the person that was shot that is a victim. There's fallout of that incident from all the people around them, their loved ones, their friends, and their families, and they're all dealing with trauma. And I know firsthand, because I'm dealing with that trauma now. The Carly Short Better Tomorrow Foundation was created in order to provide scholarships for students who have been affected by gun violence. They can help offer financial support, and then ultimately in the long term offer emotional support, mentorship, and to help them create that better tomorrow. In the short term, we're focused solely on offering scholarships at Penn State Greater Allegheny, which is a Commonwealth campus of Penn State located in McKeesport's, Pennsylvania. There are a lot of kids on that campus that have been affected by gun violence, and they could really use our help. So we're out raising money for scholarships specifically for students at Penn State Greater Allegheny. And in the short term, in the long term, we want, depending on how successful we are with our fundraising and awareness, we want to expand into other schools and other areas around the country.
We're talking to Brandon Short here. His daughter Carly murdered last September. Her unborn child also died in that shooting, and has started a foundation to try to benefit kids who have been touched by gun violence in McKeesport, Penn State Greater Allegheny campus. Brandon, you have a big fundraiser coming up Friday night at the Omni William Penn Hotel. The football community, I want you to speak about how those people have rallied around you. You have an online auction. I'm going to give the website here in a moment, give people a chance to get a pen to be able to write it down, how they can donate, how they can buy tickets, and how they can bid on cool stuff on this auction. Super Bowl tickets, Penn State, Ohio State tickets, Steelers, Ravens, Aaron Donald autographed jersey, Eli Manning autographed jersey. Talk about the event on Friday night and how the community, especially the sports athletic community, has rallied around you.
Well, yes, thank you. The event is the first annual Better Tomorrow Gala, and it's going to be this Friday at the Omni William Penn. In Pittsburgh, the MC will be Spice Adams, who was a defensive tackle at Penn State, my teammate, but you may know him best for being the host of the Great American Bake Off, or his Old Spice commercials, or his hysterical online or internet memes where he has like 5 million followers.
You tell me he's quite the character. Is that correct?
Oh, no question about it. He was my teammate, for 4 years at Penn State, and he was the all-time best Santa Claus I've ever seen.
So he's going to be the MC, and then you got quite a list of sports celebrities expected to show up, correct?
Yeah, the NFL and Penn State letterman and NFL teammates and friends have been so amazingly supportive. Franco Harris, be there. LeVar Arrington, Joey Porter, Shafi Fields, and so many others, are coming out and offering their support. The Steelers have been amazing. They offer 2 Ravens tickets with sideline passes. The Pirates have been supportive. We offered 4 tickets with a plate club for our auction. Neil Walker is offering batting practice and a signed bat. I mean, the sports community in general, not just the NFL, they've really stepped up, and I appreciate all their support. The night, unfortunately and fortunately, the tickets are sold out as of yesterday. However, people can still make donations and participate in our online auction, which includes Super Bowl tickets, Aaron Donald jerseys, Ohio State, Penn State tickets with sideline passes. So the night should be a night, people won't forget for sports fans, and you can still participate even if you're not at the event.
All right, the website that they can do this and bid on the auction items, ksbt22.givesmart.com. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, you have it correct. And then you can also do it through the website because it's easier to remember. It's ksbettertomorrow.org. That's ksbettertomorrow.org.
ksbettertomorrow.org. That's wonderful. It's got to be awfully touching for you to have these people rally around you. And I told the story, I'm friends with Tom Walker. He's Neil's dad.
Yep.
He read my column in the paper, immediately reached out to me and said he wants to help, going to donate an autographed bat. I mean, that kind of stuff, that's baseball, but we're all from Pittsburgh here, and that's what's so cool to me.
Yeah, and Neil's from the Mon Valley as well. And Neil stepped up. We corresponded with him. He's offering batting practice. This is something I might want to sign up for. I mean, it's such a unique experience to get out and go and have somebody of his stature to teach you how to swing a bat. So people, the community they've all stepped up, and my wife and I, we're truly humbled. But the ultimate goal to this is to support those kids who have been affected by gun violence, and that pool of kids that is unfortunately far too large, because it's not just the victims themselves; it's everyone around them that deals with the trauma of the loss, or when you hear a firecracker or a muffler on a car, panicking because you're in a state of trauma.
I got to figure this would touch Carly right to the core, wouldn't it?
Oh man, she would be so happy and so proud, and I'm hopeful that this is not the end. This fundraiser is the beginning, and through all of our Better Tomorrow scholars, the impact that they can have on the world is going to be her spirit that's helping lead that, and that if there's any silver lining in this, that she'll live on forever, and through the influence that we will have on supporting these kids.
The thing that amazes me, Brandon, is how the sports world can help in so many ways. I think back to 9/11, how the World Series in New York that year helped get this country through that time, and sports can just be so powerful, can it? And I think people don't understand, who have never played it, what it is like to be on a team and have that bond for life with your teammates, right?
Sports is. I'll come back to 9/11 in a minute, because I was a New York Giant at the time. That sports is the great equalizer. It brings people together from different races, religions, political ideologies, socioeconomic background, rich, poor, and you're judged on your merit. You go through intense situations where you're in hostile environments with people against you, and it brings you closer and closer together. It's a brotherhood that is never broken. If somebody's your teammate, that they're your teammate for life. I got old like Darnell Dinkins, I played with at the Giants. His son is Khalil is at Penn State. He's going to be there. Lance Legree, one of my old teammates at the Giants, is coming by. Shafi Fields, that when somebody is your teammate, they're your brother or your sister, and it's a bond that isn't broken. And that's why sports can also help with a lot of division that we see in the world and in our country. It just brings us all together.
And you mentioned 9/11. That's right. You were in the NFL with the New York Football Giants back then. What was that all like for you?
Well, that's a separate story, and it was 9/11 was the night after my first start in the NFL. It was a Tuesday morning, and we played Monday night game in Denver. And we were on a United flight, and we landed, and after 9/11, the terrible, we found that the United 93, the flight that the terrorists were on was in the runway next to us when we landed.
Wow.
As a New York Giant, the NFL canceled football for that week, and as the New York Giants, we went down to Jersey City to help deliver goods for the firefighters who were down at Ground Zero. And the firefighters, the police department, heard that the Giants were over there, and they asked us to come over. So we were literally the first civilians at Ground Zero, because the firefighters and police officers, asked us to come over. So we rode over on the ferry, and it was one of the worst things that I've ever seen. They were still bringing out bodies. It was a terrible time, but it was also a wonderful time, because you saw people from different races, religions, backgrounds. There was nothing that would tear us apart. With the whole country was unified. And the first game after 9/11, we played the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. And when we came out, it was a road game, but the New York Giants had a home game that day. The Kansas City Chiefs fans, they rooted for us the entire game. And we ultimately won that game. And, the firefighters and policemen, he said it was just a respite, to get out and see the Giants play, because it gave them a sense of normalcy. So sports is amazing, to put to your point, and it's a brotherhood and a family that will be there for you.
And they're certainly rallying around you. Brandon Short, the foundation is called Carly Short Better Tomorrow. Brandon's daughter Carly was murdered. Her unborn child also killed last September. A big fundraiser coming up Friday night at the Omni William Penn Hotel downtown. Let me see if I have it right now here. ksbettertomorrow.org. Is that correct?
Yep, ksbettertomorrow.org. You can go in and you can make a donation, or you can bid on some of our awesome, auction items.
And also, go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
No, it's sideline passes to the Ravens, batting practice with Neil Walker, Super Bowl tickets, and more.
All kind of cool stuff. And the website also, ksbt22.givesmart.com. Brandon, I wish you the best of luck Friday night, but also going forward, trying to make something positive out just a tragic situation with your daughter. And hopefully people will reach out to those websites and help you out in your cause, because it's such a wonderful cause. Thank you. Stay well. We'll talk again soon, okay?
Yep, thank you so much for having me. Be well, guys.
All right, Brandon Short.